I'm great.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. So we're recording now, so if you don't mind, let's get right into it. I was checking out your website, and first of all, I love the three areas that you focus in on, which is what um stress, and what's and immunity. There's a third one. What is it
And
again?
sleep. Stress,
Sleep.
sleep.
Of
Yeah.
course, the most important one. So
Yeah.
can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you chanced upon, these three keys to health and wellness?
Absolutely. I'm Nora Tobin, health and wellness partner to Marriott International Luxury Brands, and a member of senior leadership teams across Fortune 100 organizations. And I've specialized in professional wellness, specifically in areas of stress, sleep, and immunity. And the way I've approached wellness is through accessible tools and strategies that don't sacrifice too much time or enjoyment, but actually do make quite a bit of an impact on overall performance. So all the strategies are designed to improve deep sleep, so that cognitive cleaning process that takes place during sleep, and muscle repair, as well as the process of balancing hormones, so essential just for overall energy and productivity. And then immunity, of course, it's just such an important time. It always is, but more so now, to strengthen that immune system. And there's really easily accessible ways to do so in just your daily life. And then overall energy and nutrition is just such an important part, and stress, of course, that all play together in our overall productivity. So all of it is designed, again, for those in a high performance work week who need to, whether you're in a corporate setting or in Hollywood or an entrepreneur, there's always the need for performance, and there's different key strategies in order to enhance that.
Okay, so let's personalize this a little bit. In your, in your life, how much sleep are you getting? What kind of, so I know you're running around probably more of an entrepreneurial type of schedule. I'm assuming that, I may be wrong, but how are you managing it yourself? And what kind of stress are you under? What kind of sleep are you getting? And then how does that affect your immunity? And, especially, during, say, flu season, saying, certain times a year when, a lot of the bugs are running around. What's, how does it look in your life right now?
Well, at the beginning of this process, when everything started shutting down, it was very high stress. All of my live events were canceled, went all to virtual. And it was quite a great challenge and a stressful challenge to recreate the business, as well as launch my coffee, Noras Naturals, the brand. So a lot of different stressors, but the way that I seemed to be able to manage the stress was, yes, number one, getting quality sleep. And the way that I plan to do that each night, just because, it's really tough to just shut the brain down or shut the mind off of everything that needs to be done. So I make sure that my room is cold. So that temperature of the room is a really important factor. Screens, they always say to turn off the screen an hour ahead of time. That's just, I've been watching Ted Lasso. That's not happening. I need the screen to a certain extent, but I do make it a point to turn off notifications on my phone. So I know that if it's going to be an extremely important task, or if someone needs me, they'll call. So I usually turn off all notifications after 8 p.m. And then actually in the morning, I try to get out in the sunlight for just even 15 minutes without sunglasses or sunscreen, which actually helps to set their circadian rhythm, which is that body's 24-hour clock. So it sounds counterintuitive to get out in the sun in the morning. That would actually help sleep in the evening. But when we do so, we're actually able to release our body's own natural melatonin in the evening. So it's a great way to just set up that clock to help with deep sleep. And then finally, I always take a magnesium powder or supplement before I go to bed, because that is a natural way to calm the nervous system. And it's quite depleted in our soil, magnesium. So it's a great tool, especially when traveling. I'm about to go to New York next week for all the fashion week work, and it's just, you're on all the time there. So there's just different ways to make sure we're repairing in the midst of just a crazy schedule.
So, I know specifically didn't answer like how many hours, and I know that's probably different for each person, but maybe you can give us an idea, ballpark, like when you're in town
Yeah.
and slightly more relaxed, how much sleep you need versus, let's say, when you're in New York during Fashion Week and it's going crazy. You probably need more, but the reality is people on business trips end up getting less. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, great question. So on average, especially when I'm in town and I have, you're not going out all hours of the evening, or you're not getting up extremely early for work. Ideally 7 to 9 hours is really what's the best. It's really comes down to quality sleep versus quantity. But if we're looking at just specific hours, it's been shown that less than 7 is pretty detrimental, and then actually more than 9 can be as well. So it's not necessarily the more sleep, the better. It's kind of that sweet spot where we do our optimal repair. We get into those theta stages of brain waves that actually help with implanting memories and improving our brain power. So those hours are typically the best. And then when I travel, especially to a place like New York, where it's a very different time period, and time is gets somewhat irrelevant, I do try to incorporate a couple different things that help the body repair without getting as much sleep as that I'm necessarily used to. So for example, if I have 15 minutes between meetings, or if I can get back and, when I'm getting ready for going out or whatever it might be, if you're just at the hotel room as a traveler and you have a short period of time, even if you're checking emails, lying with the legs up the wall, which is going to look really silly, but lying with the legs up the wall actually helps your body shift into the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest recover system, without having to get into a deep nap. So it's unlikely we're going to get a good sleep or even a quality nap in when we're on the road, but lying with the legs up the wall will greatly help with actually just that quick repair and quick energy.
Are naps good or bad, Nora?
Naps can be great. If those of us who can actually make it happen, it's a great thing. It's a repair. Again, just being able to repair the brain and the body through sleep is one of the best healing tools. But again, for those who don't have maybe the time, or just can't just drop into a quick nap, there are ways to just support the system through that. Oh my gosh, your dog's so cute.
Yeah, this is Pugsley. He needs a lot of attention. So. Okay, so does it have to do with REM sleep? I know that I've read this a lot in pop culture about quality REM sleep, and I found the other day I was exhausted because I was running so many events, and then I literally came back in the afternoon and had 1 hour to rest, and literally I was in this like deep sleep. I'm like, whoa, I dreamed a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming I was in REM sleep because my body needed it. And I literally sat on this lazy boy here and I conked out for like an hour. Was that quality? Was that good?
Yes, very good. So there's different stages of sleep and different types of sleep. So REM and NREM, or non-REM, is 2 different stages of sleep that our body does, both equally important, just more. One is you're getting more repair in the REM sleep versus an REM. So both are great. We need both. It's part of the cycle. But I think the biggest takeaway with sleep is in every day, we're mostly working off of the beta brain waves, which are those surface level brain waves, and we could feel tired and wired at the same time, always in kind of that kind of frantic brainwave state, which happens from our notifications, from stress, from a variety of different elements. But with sleep, we're going to be able to drop into the delta and theta brainwaves, which that is when you'll feel like you'll have the best rest, the quality of sleep, and then you're actually able to access that alpha flow state in your day-to-day when you have had good sleep. And the reason why that's so important is because that flow state is where our creativity happens.
Mm.
So whether you're an athlete or a producer or but a business professional, you need that quality and creative thinking. And that's how we get it typically from sleep.
Wonderful. I do notice that. I'm a night person. So, when I do my writing, like when I write your article and do your write up, it's going to be at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
I know that has never changed about me. Is that bad? Because I read a lot of, just kind of pop culture items that say, oh, you should go to bed early. You should get up early. I'm like, I've never been that person for
Yeah.
weird.
There's different.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
There are different chronotypes, which I believe is the word for the different types of sleepers, and it is absolutely a range. So as long as you're feeling like you're getting some quality sleep in, if you go to bed at 3 a.m. and then you are able to sleep in or be able to just drop into sleep really quickly, it all depends on the person. But yeah, there have been a lot of articles on creatives, like different writers and different, people who really need to be creative. They find that their clock is completely different. So, or artists or musicians. So listening to your body and listening to the time that really works for you is so important. Like for me, I find that my most productive hours are early in the morning. And then after 3, I need to do things like email and things that take a lot less brain power.
I've learned that about my own creativity as well. So yeah, thanks for validating me.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, Nora, I'm interested about how you got into doing what you're doing. Was there a triggering event, this health and wellness space? What inspired you? What is your why?
Great question. So I grew up in Lake Tahoe. So a lot of my childhood upbringing, I was a competitive skier, and my parents had us outdoors all the time doing, a variety of activities. Fitness, I guess, was fun for me always from my upbringing. But as it relates to my career, it was through a variety of failures that led me here. So I was trying to make it as a professional beach volleyball player, it was a very long shot to make that. But through that, I was able to pitch my ideas and me as a spokesperson and writer to Shape and Sports Illustrated and a variety of companies that I started working with and writing for and working with as a media spokesperson. And then it was the big turning point for me in my career was when Marriott bought Starwood, the hotel chain bought Starwood, and I was really working off of with different individual hotels, like very, very small, mostly in the local region, I was presenting to them, or I was working with them on my retreats and in-room video and different things, but very, again, super small. And then when Marriott bought Starwood, I reached out to several times before I got in the door, but I reached out to their executive team to present what could be done in the wellness space as it relates to hospitality and specifically business professionals, because that's such a huge market for hospitality. And at the time, they only had the W hotels had a yoga series going, but that was it. And so I was able to go into the entire executive team, several meetings over 9 months of meetings to then become their wellness partner. And I was able to really bring all these things that I'd been working on for so long to a national and international level. And then from there, having the opportunity to work with a number of senior leadership teams and global organizations who are Marriott's clients, as well as all the guest-facing work we did and my Nora Tobin retreat. So it was a catalyst effect once I got that partner, Marriott International, but it was definitely a lot of years of just, individual hotels and individual pitches and a lot of no's before the yes. And then from then I've been able to expand into products and different things, but it was definitely, it still is, it's the nature of an entrepreneurial work. It's a lot of big swings until you get one, and then one leads to the next and some fall through. So yeah, I would say that being able to present to them with this forward thinking idea of what wellness could look like for business professionals was a really big part for my career.
Wonderful. So it's very interesting. You started out as pretty much a semi-professional athlete, and then the road led you here to being a businesswoman in the health and wellness space. So I think that's a really cool story.
And I would say, just as the semi-professional part, I know that for me, like I couldn't even call myself. I was training, I was trying to make it, and I was cleaning the gym in exchange for training at a professional studio, and I was learning as much as I could, but no, I mean, I was so far from even the semi-professional state, and I was able to take all that experience and then transfer it. So yeah, it was a lot of setbacks first.
Oh yeah, just like any fruitful career. So great to hear that. Now, Nora, I was very interested in your coffee. I noticed that it's shipped from Guatemala. Tell us a story around that. I mean, it sounds like it would be delicious. I mean, how does it set itself apart from what you get at, say, Starbucks and your Colombian roast there, or Pete's or Coffee Bean? Tell us a little bit about why we should order that coffee from your website.
Absolutely. And we need to send you some. Nora's Naturals Organic Coffee is focused on single origin, organic, multi-generation family farms. And our focus really is to curate and work with different farms to make sure that we're delivering seasonal coffee. So not necessarily seasonal like pumpkin spice lattes and Christmas season, but actually the season for growing. Exactly. So we just had our Nicaraguan period where we got to work with a phenomenal farm where the beans were grown in volcanic soil, which is rich in silica, which is an essential mineral for collagen production. So always having those extra benefits in your coffee, because it's something that most of us do every single day. It's the quickest upgrade we can make. So that was the wonderful family farm there. And then we're about to work with a farm in Africa from Malawi, which they specialize in female farmers. So it's the majority of the farmers are female. They do a lot of work within the community to improve the quality of life of the farmers and of their families. So I think what sets us apart, and there's a number of great brands out there that are single origin and organic. I think it's one decision as a consumer we can make on a daily basis that may be a little bit more expensive, and it does cost more to get from these single origin sources, but it's something that can actually change the environment. So the way that beans are roasted and harvested, and where they come from, how they protect the rainforest, or how they protect the species and the water and the land from the actual source. And then from a health standpoint, having coffee beans that are free of mold toxins and that do not contain things that are going to make our bodies not feel great. Like, we don't ever really want to crash after coffee. That shouldn't happen. And then to be able to support the people in the midst of the process, I think is a really important part of what we do. So it's starting off small, but I'm very proud of it. And we're really focused on a couple different elements. We're focused on client gifting. So both from a corporate standpoint, as well as we're doing the gifting at the pre-gifting suite for the Emmys that are coming up, the DPA pre-gifting suite. We did it for the Oscars. So setting up my Nora's Naturals elixir bar and having the different elixirs and then the coffee as gifts. And then also working on getting it onto film set. So having that elixir bar set up, and then also having the coffee available to everybody. And then also in the hospitality space as well. So going a different route than the retail route of coffee, but it's been an exciting process.
And you can only buy it on your website, right? This is
yes, exactly. So it's a monthly subscription, and or you could just buy it individually. And then most of the other part of the business is events and in-person experiences. Or we've also sent the coffee ahead of time for the the coffee and conversation workshops, where corporate teams have brought in the coffee or sent the coffee now that it's remote to their team members. And then I come in and do a coffee and conversation series.
Yeah, so tell me, before we move on to that, I wanted to ask you about the coffee and conversations. But before that, is there a personal connection you have with the Nicaraguan, I guess coffee farm? Is there? Because I thought I read that on your website.
Yes. So I when I traveled, I took time off of between high school and college and traveled in Central America. And of course, like anybody would fall in love with that region of the world. But with Nicaragua, what I find to be so special about that specific farm was the volcanic soil and the wellness tie-in, which I'm by no means promoting a wellness coffee that's gonna, be this savior for anti-aging, but it is pretty incredible how the minerals in our soil are being very depleted. So coffee is one of the best ways to get those minerals, and it ties right into our anti-aging and to the production of collagen. So for me, I was so drawn to that region and that specific soil.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then is that similar to what you found in Malawi as well?
Yes. So the different benefits. So the soil is not the same there, but all these farms we work with have really high quality soil because it's such a small production. They're not coming in with any pesticides or glyphosate or any kind of sprays that is producing these huge crops of coffee. That's kind of the nice thing about these small farms, one of the many nice things. And then the women really empowered part, I think, is so important because it is an industry that is just a tough industry in general, and the working conditions can be tough. So this farm specifically, just the support of women and then the support of that, really the quality of life in that town, in that community was really important to me.
Wonderful. You mentioned an elixir bar. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, so I've worked with celebrity chef Sunny Sweetman, him and I created the recipes for my fat burning, stress relieving, immune enhancing, and beauty boosting elixirs. So 4 elixirs that utilize the coffee. So there are different hot or cold cups of coffee that you can enjoy that have different really important ingredients for stress, energy, immunity, and beauty. So for example, the stress reliever has the Garcinia cambogia and the reishi, which is going to help support the nervous system, calm the nervous system. And then, for example, the fat burning, one of the ingredients in there is MCT oil, which helps accelerate fat burning. So they're elixirs that have huge benefits. So it's basically upgrading your cup of coffee. And those elixir bars are set up at live events where we essentially the different options that you can choose from, or just black coffee with any kind of cream in it.
Oh, interesting. So are they actually like bars that you consume, or what is the
Oh, sorry. I meant when I say bar, I mean like a setup, like a table setup.
Oh, okay.
With different, I should change the name because that is a little confusing, but just different options that you can enjoy at any of these events.
So are they almost like a shot that you get from like Jamba Juice? Like you just add an extra pump or two of whatever it is, the stress, the immunity boost?
So they're actually specialty made coffees. So they take my coffee beans and then we blend in all these different ingredients and with macadamia nut cream and different things. And then they're served hot or cold. So we're doing that for events, and we're also working on getting it onto film studios where they'll come and get to order any one of those coffees to go.
Got it. Okay, so it basically becomes like a pop-up, with a lot of selections and a lot of different ways to consume that great coffee you have from Nicaragua.
Exactly, and essentially adding in these benefits into your day, whether you're in need of stress relief or a beauty boost or immune strengthening, you can kind of pick and choose.
The beauty boost makes you more beautiful. How does
exactly.
that work? Okay. Coffee and conversations. Okay. So this is a service that you provide. Is it mostly to corporate environment? Can you tell us a little bit about that? It sounds so interesting.
Yes. So we've done it for a number of global organizations where in this time, a lot of teams have not been able to meet in person, of course. And
Mhm.
so we've utilized the Coffee and Conversations as a virtual series where the corporate teams will order the coffee gift or the bags of coffee that come in a nice gift to each individual person on the team, and it's delivered to them. And it has the recipe book of my Nora's Naturals Elixirs, like we were just talking about, the stress and immunity, and they can make it all at home. And then the virtual or the experiential component is going to be where everybody's getting to enjoy their coffee from home, eventually in person, but from home for now. And then virtually, I come on and share top strategies for performance. So accelerating performance with those different categories that we've talked about. And then everyone gets to break off into one-on-one networking. Because a lot of times, whether it's teams or clients, there's just not a lot of interaction happening or social connection happening as much as it used to. And so we set it up so there's a educational part and then this immersive experience where they get to, over a cup of coffee, like you would in a cafe, enjoy a conversation with a colleague you might not have seen in a while or a client that you just want to reconnect with, more of a casual way.
Interesting. Now, with all of this Zoom meetings, and I know you're trying to adapt to that and make sure that people stay connected, people stay healthy, and psychologically, stable, unbalanced. How did you feel in the last year when we were just cooped up? And is that healthy? Is that, I've always been, enjoying of, especially here in California, going out in the sun and getting that vitamin D. And I think psychologically that always lifts up my spirits. But when you're told to coop yourself up at home and, be afraid of the virus out there, what are kind of your thoughts around that? And how can we as a society manage, a virus like COVID?
Yeah, it's a really great question. Number one, it is extremely isolating when we're not socially interacting. I think a huge part of our ability to feel good and have that level of happiness that we expect is social interaction. So that of course was a huge loss this year. And I know we did a lot of Zoom. I know I did a lot of Zoom happy hours and family get-togethers over Zoom, and that was really special. And there's a lot of silver linings in that, but there is that part of it that is just, we're missing so much, which is the social interaction that we intentionally used to have, as well as the random interaction of just, jumping on a subway and getting to just talk to somebody for 5 minutes, or, a lot of that we've missed. The other thing that I think has been a really tough, and I won't go through all the list of things that have been tough for everybody, but one, from a wellness standpoint, the light that we're in front of now on screens all day has generated this imbalance in our brain of the amygdala and the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus is the part of the brain that's really responsible for attention and memory. And the amygdala is the fear response in the brain. And so when we're in front of screens all day, we're not getting outside and balancing out that circadian rhythm, that light that's being emitted into our eyes is really hindering the effect of the hypothalamus, so hindering our concentration and focus. And then it's essentially activating the amygdala. So it's perpetuating that fear and stress response. And so there's a reason why, in addition to just the landscape and not being socially connected and not being in a normal circumstance, we're also feeling stressed and fear, and aside from all the news and everything, but just the light itself that we're in front of and the stagnant energy that we have sitting. So yeah, I think that there's a variety of ways that we can manage that, because Zoom is obviously not going away for a little while. And so there's ways to offset that. One I had said earlier, which was that circadian rhythm, balance, getting out in the sunlight in the morning. Another is going to be just the 3-minute movements or 3-minute meditations, getting up from your desk in a day, even for a minute, on top of the hour, or at certain times of day where you know that energy dips, like 3 p.m. for most people, that's going to be a really good way to just really release that energy that gets stagnant in the body. And then I think the third way is going to be to connect with teams, if it's a corporate setting or friends, from a standpoint that's going to inspire new habits. So one tactic I put into place, or challenge with corporate teams, is the month challenge, where everybody gets 5 points a day, or can get up to 5 points a day. And it's quite simple. It's just 20 minutes of movement, 10 minutes of guided breathing or meditation. If possible, no processed foods. But again, not everyone gets points every day. 7.5 hours of sleep, and then 64 ounces of water. So 5 things that are very accessible and can be done in a day, but it's fun to do it with other people, and it gives you a chance to connect with them and set that challenge up, and then just start to build those habits into your life. So it's been a super tough time for everybody. And I know there's still quite a bit of challenge, but there's ways to, at least from a physiological standpoint, shift our state. And it's just important to do so every day.
And that state and diet are important for us to stay well and not get sick. Let's talk a little bit about diet. I'm sure that I know that you don't have any sort of like kind of like keto or any of the fad diets out there that say do this, do that. What's kind of your overall philosophy about diet? And are there any quick tips you can give, especially to busy working people like you and me that maybe don't have time to prepare gourmet dishes, or dishes that require a lot of time to prepare? What is the best way to manage that?
Yeah. So whether it's weight management, or just overall sustained energy, or quality sleep, one of the most important factors is insulin. So insulin, weight management specifically, is a chemical response rather than calories in and calories out. So when we eat processed foods, sugar, simple refined carbohydrates, that's going to raise our insulin levels, and it's going to release insulin into the bloodstream to help manage that glucose uptake.
Mm-hmm.
And all that being said, we want to put strategies into place to lower the insulin. And you don't have to know exactly what's happening in your system throughout the day with your insulin, but what you can know is that anytime we're eating foods high in sugar, processed foods, or refined carbohydrates like chips and crackers and things like that, that's going to raise our insulin. And it's going to be extremely hard to have quality weight management, quality sleep, quality immune response in our body. So number one, I would say lower processed foods. And I know that the feeling of being too busy to eat whole foods is there. And I definitely recognize that everybody's extremely busy. But you can put a couple things into place where, instead of reaching for a nutrition bar or a bar of some kind that's packaged, or pretzels or whatever it might be, there's things like nuts, hard cheeses, olives, almond butter, apples, different things just in their whole form. But don't worry about the fat count or the calories. So for example, I always like to give the example of pretzels, like a bag of pretzels, which I don't know, it's probably 90 calories. It's not that much, versus, let's say, an apple and almond butter, or sourdough toast with avocado. Like, that's going to be a lot higher in calories because of the fat, but we need that healthy fat. Our brain is 60% fat. We burn fat when we eat fat, especially quality fat. So I wouldn't look at it as much as calories in, calories out, more of quality whole foods. And then another strategy that is actually deeply rooted in science, it could be considered more of a fad now because it's so talked about, but there's so much science behind it, which is the 8-hour eating window, where you shorten the time in which you eat.
Intermittent fasting.
Exactly. And that actually has been shown, it's remarkable. I mean, in 16 hours that you're not eating, you can still drink coffee and tea, But in that
Mhm.
16 hours you're not eating, your body is going to rapid cellular cleanup mode. Your body is actually burning fat for fuel by burning ketones versus glucose. And you're balancing that leptin and ghrelin, those hunger hormones, and you're able to essentially regenerate cells and generate energy at a much more efficient pace. So all that being said, I would just say, whenever possible, stick to whole foods, incorporate the 8-hour eating window at least a couple of days a week. That's going to make a really big difference. And then I would say the third component to nutrition, to seeing the benefits of nutrition, would actually be incorporating foods that are going to help lower the inflammation in the body. So foods like berries, dark leafy greens, chocolate, good quality chocolate, even coffee to an extent. Those are rich in antioxidants, and that's going to help protect the body's immune system.
Green tea, are you a fan?
Oh, yes, definitely. Green tea, matcha, even black tea. A lot of teas have different great qualities, but green tea specifically has the EGHC, EGCC. I haven't said this one in a while, but it's a component in green tea specifically that has the ability to increase, or that has very powerful antioxidants. So that increase of your immune protection it's so helpful.
And supplements, how do you feel about those? I know a lot of people love to, like my mom used to pop like, oh my God, eat this pill, get your fish oils. Do those help, or is there a danger that we're getting too much of that? And is it better? I'm sure it's better to get from natural sources, like actually eating the fish, for example, rather than going for the supplements. What are your thoughts around that?
Absolutely. No, there's definitely, it's a very crowded market, and I understand, for those who are constantly traveling or might not be able to get all of these nutrients all the time. I understand the benefit of supplements, but I would say, for the most part, getting the nutrients from your food. If you're eating whole foods, you should be getting a lot of these nutrients.
Mhm.
And then there's a select amount of supplements that I do personally take that I think we just don't have as much anymore in our diet, just because of the soil depletion and a variety of things in the food industry. But one would be magnesium. So taking that before bed, or if you have anxiety, magnesium is one of the best things to help calm anxiety without being anything artificial. It's a natural mineral that we just don't have in our diet. So magnesium's one. Vitamin D3, we're not getting as much vitamin D in our foods. It's just hard to get in our foods. So that's really essential for mood and immune protection. And then the third one, and you mentioned it, but fish oil, I tend to just eat one piece of fish or sushi or something once a week to get some fish oil. I know that there's a lot of benefit to fish and krill oil and different supplements. I would say if you're taking it, just make sure you're getting something that's a really high quality one. So that would be worth spending a little more to get the high quality, because you don't want there to be a mix of other oils in there that are not healthy for you. So just, it's like anything, just focusing on the quality of the supplement is really important.
So are we going to expect a new line of Nora's magnesium, Nora fish oils coming soon?
No, good question. But no, I'm actually going to stick to the beverage category. So
Okay,
coffee, then elixirs, then at some point clean cocktails.
got it. Okay. Now let's move this over to stress. That was one of the things that, I was very kind of excited to read about your bio. You lead off with stress. Stress is the first thing you talk about. How do we manage that in ways? I know that, okay, like I throw events and people are like, wow, you're handling a lot. I'm like, it's because a lot of things don't stress me out. So I think with person to person, stress or events hit them differently. And there is some sort of internal reaction, the whole adage of, it takes two to have an event. So if someone's freaking out, I don't need to be freaking out. I
So true.
right, right. So how do we manage that in a society that I think is very easily triggered, and very stressed out and very reactive? What are some ways? I know you had talked about meditation, but I think a lot of people, especially in kind of the entrepreneurial business like you and me, are thrown with situations that are very novel and new, which there is a stress component to that embedded into the newness and the novelty of it. But how do we manage that? And, you know, and the people that work, say, 9 to 5 jobs, that things are predictable, but there's always something crazy that will happen.
Yeah.
How can we center ourselves and be able to manage all that's thrown at us?
Yeah, I think for many, there is that time component that feels stressful to think about going and sitting and meditating for 30 minutes or getting to a yoga class to manage their stress. I think sometimes we need to incorporate practices into our day that are meeting us where we need it in the moment rather
Mhm.
than taking time from the moment we're in to go manage the stress that we're
Yes.
dealing with. So I find that for me personally, and I've taught this for a while, and I think it's really helpful, the 3 and 5 breath, where you inhale for a 3 count, hold your breath at the top, and then a long exhale for 5. And that longer exhale puts the body or helps put the body into that parasympathetic state, that calm, focused state, out of the stress fight or flight mode. So that would be one kind of breathing technique you can do even on a Zoom call or in the midst of, an event. It's something that can be incorporated even just for a minute. You don't need to do it for longer than that to actually feel a difference. You can be done with your eyes open or closed, but it's an easy thing to do on the move. The other type of breathing that is actually from a physiology point can really make such a difference in the body is taking your breath out of your chest and into your diaphragm and stomach. So a lot of times we're breathing in our stress state without even knowing it from our chest, short, shallow chest breathing versus this deep, lower abdominal breathing, or lower upper body breathing in our diaphragm. So actually holding your hands at your ribs and feeling your ribs expand and contract just for a few reps of that or breaths of that will actually make a difference in the state. So I would say the breathing is a really important thing to do while you're in the midst of everything. Notifications, take those notifications off the phone that don't matter. There's things that do matter that you can't really get away from that you need. But there's a lot of notifications on our phone that we don't need to see them come up every single time. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but that is creating the stress response that is almost equivalent to a stress of a lion chasing after us. It's the same adrenaline, cortisol hormones raising in our system every time that phone pings or lights up. So I would say that is just such an important thing that you can do to manage stress. And then implementing some positive stress. So cold therapy, intermittent fasting, those deep breathing type of techniques, that's going to be positive stress on the body. That's going to actually help the body adapt. So cold therapy, this is kind of a funny hack, but if you're not able to just go jump in an ocean or go to a cryogenic chamber, which most of us are not in the middle of our workday, actually going to the freezer, getting a cold ice cube, obviously it's cold, getting an ice cube, putting it on the face can actually create this this response in the vagus nerve, which is the nerve that goes up and down the spinal cord that transports the right hormones to the brain from the gut and back and vice versa. So all that being said, just getting cold in any way, a cold shower, but an ice cube will actually help do the same thing.
Oh, fascinating. And that actually, how does that promote wellness? I mean, does your body then adapt and become more efficient? I mean, tell me a little more.
So the cold therapy, like a true cold therapy, getting in a cold shower or cold bath of water or a cryogenic chamber, that's the type of stress that will force your body to adapt to that cold
Okay.
and basically raise your metabolic rate, raise your metabolism, turn on your immune defense. It does a lot of things in that state. The ice cube's a little different. That one's more to calm the stress response. So it actually can put you again into that parasympathetic state. It wakes you up in a way because it's freezing on your face, but it
Yes.
also has this calming effect on the body. It's very interesting.
Oh, fascinating. I'll have to try that and get back to you.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So now wow, thanks for sharing your knowledge, Nora. I mean, this has been such a riveting conversation. Clearly you have a lot of ideas and techniques that are not publicized out there as certain things that have caught on. So there's a really I'd be excited to see your workshops, and tell us a little more about that. What's on your plate next? Are you just we're hitting the Q4 now in the winter. What's you said you're going to New York and you got the fashion show there. How do we catch you? I'm assuming you're in Southern California, right? Are you here
Yes,
locally?
yeah.
Okay.
Based in Santa Barbara. In
Where
Santa
are you?
Barbara. I'm based in Santa Barbara in
Santa
Southern
Barbara. Okay.
California. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, a lot of exciting things are coming up that we're doing the Emmys pre-gifting. So that'll be next 2 weeks. And then I
Mhm.
actually just signed for my public speaking with the Harry Walker agency. So William Morris's public speaking arm. And that's been exciting just to have a partner there for public speaking and workshops and all of that. And then as it relates to the coffee, we're doing a lot on the corporate side. So doing a lot of the coffee and conversation series. We're looking at mostly virtual workshops and events for the next for Q4 and Q1, and then we're actually launching my my wellness retreats on the Ritz-Carlton yacht in May of next spring. So that's going to be coming up back to in person, and that'll be some wonderful retreats. So it's been a combination of a lot of great stuff, and just hopefully helping as many people as I can along the way in a challenging time.
Great. And where can we follow you or catch all of these events, so it's not like, oh, there was that great yacht event and damn, there's all the pictures and we missed it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just from like a practical daily standpoint, I do a lot of content, practical content on my Instagram. So it's at
Okay.
Nora Tobin. So I do just my name at Nora Tobin, and I do my Nora's Naturals recipes, workouts, meditations, tips for business professionals, lifestyle and travel content. So lot's on there. And then my website for the coffee is norasnaturalscoffee.com. And then just my regular website's noratobin.com.
Awesome. So are you on any others like Facebook, Twitter, or are you mostly
I'm
on
on
Instagram?
I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Awesome. Great. So we can find you at Nora Tobin on Instagram, and that's where you put out all your content. So daily you have new like tips for us and different videos.
Yep. So daily I do workouts, yoga, meditation, my Nora's Naturals, nutrition, and then a variety of tips and strategies for business professionals, and those in just a 24/7 work week.
That is awesome. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience, Nora? The floor is yours.
Well, I think as it relates specifically to the LA market and the Hollywood market, I will be really excited to start working with different teams to support. I know production is coming back in full swing, and to be able to support with my Nora's Naturals coffee and elixir bar, and then also I think especially in that setting, there's stressful days. You're working around the clock, and you have a variety of teams managing, and a huge amount of pressure to deliver for the production. So to be able to integrate my fitness and yoga, as well as my wellness workshops and my Nora's Naturals coffee, will be wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Actually, I was talking to one of my friends that works in the motion picture industry, and the commercials, and they're long hours, like 15-hour work days, and it's affecting his lower back. So I don't
Yeah.
know if you got anything, and it's just killing him. And I said, oh, you probably need some natural remedies. Any tips for him?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So aside from the short breaks, and I'm happy to send you the videos on that, but I would say just the natural remedy would be, there's a brand actually based in Santa Barbara. The founders are from Patagonia, but they started a really high quality CBD brand called Windward, and they have a topical cream that he could put on his low back during the day, and it does help with that healing, and it helps with inflammation. So things like that would be really helpful for him.
Awesome. Thanks for the tip. And remember to catch Nora on Instagram, Nora Tobin, NORATOBIN, and also on your website. Can you give us your website again with
Yes,
your coffee?
it's noratobin.com, and then the coffee is norasnaturalscoffee.com.
I love it. It's a great website, very clean, very concise, very much something that people in the corporate circles like myself appreciate because it gets right to the point. So thank you so much, Nora, for taking the time today. I will send you the write-up once it's done, and this video will be up on our website as well. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marc. You too. Thank you so much.